Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is episode 3 of our live content, and I'm here to tell you the Lakers are going to still win the NBA championship. It doesn't matter that they lost today. I know they lost today. I know Anthony Davis played like horse shit, and I know LeBron didn't look good. I know Montrezl Harrell played like a bum, and I know Andre Drummond played like a bum. That's nothing out of the ordinary. But you know what's going to happen? The Lakers are going to come out game 2 in Phoenix. Talking Stick Resort Arena up there in Phoenix, and they're gonna whoop. They're gonna whoop on Phoenix. They're gonna beat Phoenix. I don't even know what's gonna happen with Chris Paul. We'll get into that in a little bit, but they're going to beat Phoenix game 2. They're gonna beat Phoenix game 3. It's pretty clear what's gonna happen the rest of the series. So again, Dan in the comments, Suns in 6. You are incorrect. It'll be Lakers in 6, maybe Lakers in 7. I'll give Phoenix some credit. They played really well today, but this is not a game. You look at the history of LeBron James. His Cavs, his Heat, his now Lakers, they're not coming out guns blazing in game 1. They use it as a feel out process. Remember last year, I believe they lost game 1 to Houston. So it's not a thing. I don't think it's a big deal. You know, you can look, oh, they lost, or look at the Clippers. They lost game 1. Who cares? They have 6 games. They need to win 4 of the next 6. If they're the better team, like I think they are, they're going to win 4 out of the next 6, and they'll be perfectly fine. And this is what's going to happen with the LeBron, Anthony Davis, and the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm not concerned at all. What I am concerned about is why Frank Vogel continues to play Andre Drummond and why Frank Vogel plays Montrezl Harrell as much as he does. So Andre Drummond, as a Cavs fan, was terrible, was horrific. I think the Cavs would have been better off playing 5-on-4, but this is about the Lakers. The Lakers, right now, all of you watching right now, look in the mirror. You will find a player that is better at basketball than Andre Drummond. Drummond looks like he learned basketball from a textbook, but he has no skill at basketball. Like his only good attribute is his size. He's 6'11", 7 feet tall. He's pretty athletic. I'll give him that. He's one of the most athletic big men in the NBA. But I've never seen a guy with lower basketball IQ. You compare LeBron James, and you compare him to Andre Drummond. You might have the most best, biggest, whatever basketball IQ in the history of basketball, and his teammate is the guy on the bottom of the totem pole. Joe Schmo from the 1940s knows how to play basketball. Andre Drummond does not know how to play basketball. Andre Drummond has so many clueless turnovers. Andre Drummond looks lost. And he's not a rookie. He's a 10, 12-year vet now. And this man looks lost out there. He is a horror show. He is terrible. And the Lakers continue to say, hey, let's play Andre Drummond for 20 minutes. Are you on drugs, Frank Vogel? Drummond played 19 minutes today. Today he was actually okay. He was 5 of 7 from the field, 9 rebounds, so nearly a double-double, -4 when he was on the floor. This is an outlier. He does not shoot 5 of 7, which is 57%, better than 71%. He doesn't shoot 71% every game. He should. He's 6'11" and more athletic than everyone else on the floor. He should. But he is... Oh, my goodness. I can't even put into words how bad Andre Drummond is at basketball and how much he contributes to losing basketball games. It's really scary. You know, he is when I said the Lakers are going to win the title on the U Stadium app yesterday, Andre Drummond is the missile that blows it all up. It's not the Suns. It's not the Jazz. It's not the Nets. It's not the Sixers. It's not any of the other 15 teams. It's Andre freaking Drummond on the Suns themselves. And just think about that. Think about how many bad players you've seen play NBA basketball. There's been a lot of them. There's been a lot of scrubs. Legitimately scrubs that cannot play basketball. Andre Drummond is in that class, but you don't consider him in that class because he's so athletic and, he has the highlights, and, he's 6'11", and, he makes a nice pass from time to time. Yeah, a broken clock is right twice a day, you know. If you break a clock that has a year, but it's only a 2-year, it's right every 100 years. So there are some times that Andre Drummond makes a good basketball play. Does he know he's making a good basketball play? No, he doesn't. Oh my goodness. Whew. Drummond is horrific. But we're gonna move off Drummond and we're gonna move, historically speaking, what do the Lakers do? What do the Cavs do? What do the Heat do in game ones all time? They beat Miami game one. I'm just going backwards. I'm on Basketball Reference. They beat Miami game one. They beat Denver game one. They lost to Houston game one. They're a much better team than Houston. They won the next four. They lost to Portland game one. They won the next four. Are you going to sit there and tell me that LeBron and the Lakers, oh boy, they're going to lose to Portland because they lost game one? No, you're not. Oh boy, they're going to lose to the Rockets because they lost game. No, guess what? They won 4-1. They lost game one to Cleveland. They lost game one to Golden State in the 2018 finals. Game one to Boston. They won that series. Game one to Indiana in 2018. They won that series. Let's see. Other examples. They lost 3 of the first 4 against Golden State in 2016. Won that series. Lost game one to Chicago in 2015. Won that series. Lost game one to Indiana in 2014, won that series. That was a good Indiana team. Lost game one in the 2013 finals. Lost game one in the 2013 series against Chicago. Lost game one in the 2012 finals. If there's any player in NBA history that you're just straight up not worried about in oh, you lose game one. Oh, you have to win 4 of the next 6. Come on now, it's LeBron James. And say what you will, LeBron wasn't awesome today. He was fine. He was, 36 minutes, 18 points, 7 rebounds, 10 assists, had 3 steals, did turn the ball over 5 times. So that's no bueno. But he's one of a handful of Lakers that had a positive plus minus. But I talked about Andre Drummond. You know who was terrible today? It was really bad and seriously cost the Lakers any chance of winning. Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis. I have his jersey over here. I don't want to grab it because he doesn't deserve to be. But 5 of 16 from the field, 7 rebounds. 4 of those came in the last 2 or 3 minutes, garbage time. 13 points. This is a guy that people say is a top 5 player. This is a guy people say is an All-NBA first team caliber guy. This is a guy on the broadcast. They said he is a Hall of Fame player, and he sucked. He sucked today. We have Jack backstage. I'm going to throw him on in a second. Anthony Davis sucked today. And who was the beneficiary of Anthony Davis playing like one of the worst players on the court? DeAndre Ayton, who had a masterclass of a game, 21 points on 10 of 11 shooting, 16 rebounds, including 8 offensive rebounds. The entire Lakers team had 10. Let me just put that in perspective. Ayton was phenomenal today. Ayton was probably the best player on the floor. Booker was also great. He took 26 shots, made 13 of them, had 34. Chris Paul, we'll talk about the injury with Jack. But Booker and Ayton, studs today. And then with the Lakers, it was a lot of meh. Even from LeBron, Anthony Davis was trash, like I mentioned. Dennis Schroeder did some nice things, 5 for 7 from the field, 14 points. Did turn the ball over 4 times. So yeah, let's throw Lakers fan Jack on. How's it going, Jack?
It's basically the sports desk on a Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, initial reaction from Suns 99, Lakers 90. Drop them.
Not worried. It was game 1. Anthony Davis needs to be better.
Yes.
I felt like I thought LeBron did what he could. He probably could have done a little bit better as well. But overall, I think the Lakers are still relatively in a good spot. Anthony Davis, I don't think, unless his injury is nagging at him a little bit still, which I don't know how likely that is, but if that is the case, then he probably will have 2 bad games in a row, but if not, then he won't. You know what I mean? He's not
right.
His injury troubles, if they're over, he's not going to have 2 bad games in a row.
Right. And Anthony Davis is not a guy that you say crumbles in the playoffs. He's historically one of the best playoff performers ever. And granted, it is a small sample size because he played, I believe, 7 total series. So 3 with the Pelicans, 1 sweep via Golden State. Then they had the 1 year that they swept Portland and then lost to Golden State again. And then, of course, the 4 series last year. But from everything we've seen from Anthony Davis, he is awesome in the playoffs. This is going to be one of his, like, literally one of his, like, worst games ever. Only the 5th time in his playoff career in 35 starts that he didn't score 20 points, which is just kind of crazy to think about, that this man rolled out of bed his first playoff game and dropped like 30 against a Golden State team that won the title. You know,
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, he had 35 in his first game. Okay, I'm just going to read off the numbers because that's where we're at. 35, 26, 29, 36, 35, 22, 28, 47, 21, 25, 33, 26, 34, 28, 31, 29, 18. That was game 4 of the Western Conference first round against Portland. 43, 25, 34, 26, 29, 13, game 5 against Houston. 37, 31, 27. Now my screen's frozen. 34, 27, 34, 32, 15, game 3 of the finals. 22, 28, 19, game 6 of the finals. And then he starts this year. Well, I guess you have the play-in game, but he starts this year with 13, pathetic 13, 5 of 16 from the field. That's sub 33%. And that will be this is the worst playoff performance of Anthony Davis's career. And remember, he was on the Pelicans playing against the overpowered Warriors. So just to put into perspective that how weird this is, that Anthony Davis has this atrocious game. He played the Juggernaut Warriors twice, title-winning Warrior teams twice. Never really struggled this badly. He did have an 8 for 22, minus 25 plus minus, but he did hit 10 of 10 from the free throw line. But he was horrid today.
Yeah.
So
I think it's an anomaly, though. Based on everything that you just said, it feels like an anomaly. I don't think, and like I just said too, unless the injury thing is a real problem, I really don't think a player of Anthony Davis's caliber is going to have 2 bad games in a row. He's a guy that will work on this sort of thing in practice, in the film room, wherever he needs to improve areas of his game. Mm-hmm. He's just not going to do that. He's not that type of player. He's too knowledgeable about the game of basketball, I would say, as well. Because when he makes mistakes like this, when things like this happen, he's going to improve based on it. He's going to look at his mistakes. He's going to look and see what can be fixed, what he did wrong. And yeah,
it's an ugly game. He had the worst. Now, granted, I don't buy into plus minus as much as some people do, but he had the worst plus minus on either team. It wasn't particularly close. The only guy within 10, KCP had a -9. Anthony Davis just chilling with a -18. That's disgusting. You know, and if he plays remotely competent basketball for 4 quarters, the Lakers win this game. And say what you will about, well, Chris Paul got hurt, so the Suns were off kilter or whatever. DeAndre Ayton's not going to shoot 10 for 11 every game. 10 for 11, a lot of that's against Anthony Davis. Those 8 offensive rebounds, a lot of that's against Anthony Davis. And when you're allowing a guy to get 8 offensive rebounds, something has gone horrifically wrong for your defense, and that should not be happening when Andre Drummond is apparently a good rebounder, right? People told me he's a good rebounder. You know, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, they should get a lot more than 23 rebounds. You know, Andre Drummond had two defensive rebounds. He had 7 offensive rebounds, so he was eating glass. But this is just ugly all-around performance from the Lakers. And while, yes, they had an ugly performance, this is probably the worst case scenario for them in a game 1, that everyone on their team plays pretty poorly. I can't even pick like a star. It's like Schroeder was fine. Caldwell Pope was 1 for 7 on threes. LeBron
had a decent game. I didn't see anything like too outstanding from LeBron. It felt like he was just kind of going through the motions, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, LeBron, I think this is really a feel-out game for LeBron. I'm not sure. I'm not worried about LeBron. I am worried a little bit about Anthony Davis because he was just horrific today and he's going to have to be better. I'm worried that Frank Vogel thinks Andre Drummond is good at basketball, legitimately. And I'm going to read this tweet from Rob Perez, like Worldwide Wob. Anthony Davis isn't this disengaged by accident. Had the life pummeled out of him by DeAndre Ayton on both ends all day. Can't believe I just typed that sentence and it's actually true, but give the man his credit. Looks so improved from his rookie season. Yeah, DeAndre Ayton was phenomenal today. He made a future Hall of Famer and Anthony Davis look like a scrub, look like a bum, look like a trash can. Ayton, again, like I said earlier, best player on the floor for most of the game. Of course, D-Book had his moments that he was that guy. He played 45 minutes. That's impressive. First ever playoff game, he dropped 34. Shout out to him. But again, Anthony Davis, you have to be better than that. He had 0 offensive rebounds and only the 7 defensive rebounds. And again, like I said, that's really padding. He had a 13-4 kind of game until the very, very end. Like if I go through the game line, you're talking like 13-3 with 6 minutes to go. That's from an all NBA caliber guy. That's from a guy that people say is a Hall of Famer. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Like, especially for somebody who's known as being one of the best defensive players in the league.
Right.
Like, just not. Maybe I want to say it could have been a feeling out game for Anthony Davis too, but like the numbers are just they're in such a bad direction right now. It kind of just feels like he's like, I don't know, like it's weird. It's weird. You don't see this kind of thing very often from a guy like Anthony Davis.
No, and it was ugly from Davis. It's by far his worst playoff game, and if you assume that he's going to creep back towards average, that's fine. And I think they can beat the Suns and they can win a lot of games with that. But LeBron's going to have to step it up. I do trust that LeBron's going to play well in game 2.
Yeah.
But the rest of the Lakers have to step it up too, because LeBron has a reputation of being an all-time great playoff player. Anthony Davis has the same reputation. Of course, LeBron's is a little bit stronger than Anthony Davis, but that's beside the point. The rest of the team has to pick it up, and I believe they will. You know, I titled this, the Lakers will still, in all caps, win the title. And I believe it. You know, I'm not going to bet against LeBron James. I'm not going to bet against Anthony Davis. You have 2 all-time great playoff performers, not one all-time great one and like a good one. This isn't like, say, LeBron and Kyrie. You know, Kyrie's a pretty doggone good playoff performer. He's not quite Anthony Davis, I would say. Although I will say that Kyrie's had a lot more like opportunities than Anthony Davis has.
Yeah, because they've been to the finals like
so
5 times in a row together or something like that.
Kyrie has 3 finals. So nothing against Kyrie. He's a great playoff performer. Anthony Davis is like a slice above. But this is the kind of game that seriously damages your reputation because he sucked. He was trash. DeAndre Ayton took his soul and ran laps around. Like, I can't remember the last time I saw a player of Anthony Davis's caliber just get killed like this. This was a tragedy, and oh boy, yeah, it was just quite a tragedy. We have a special guest. Welcome, Frankie. How's it going?
The Lake Show is done, baby.
Nah.
It's over. It's about damn time. I am so happy. Hopefully this is the last time LeBron ever is relevant again in the playoffs. I think it's done. The Suns are going to knock him out. He's going to be hurt the rest of his career. We have seen the end of LeBron James, everybody. Just take it for what it is. Anthony Davis is hurt. It's over. The Lakers, it's done. They're going to have to, you know, maybe in 5 years they'll bring back Julius Randle on a supermax deal and they'll be back in it. But it's done.
I still like Randle. I want to be opposed.
Oh, Randle's awesome. Okay, Frankie, you know how we posted that video of you calling Bucks Bucks Chiefs from like a month earlier in the playoffs, right? You know how that aged really, really well? Like that aged really well. That your Lakers are done. That is already pretty bad. In a couple of days, it'll be pretty trash when the Lakers take like a 3-1 lead and win the series eventually. And then when they beat, they would play probably Portland, I guess. When they beat Portland, and then they beat like the Clippers, Jazz, or Mavericks, and then they beat probably the Nets.
It's not going to be the Clippers.
In 16 wins, your take's going to look pretty crappy.
This is my take that it's not going to be the Clippers in the next round or any of the other rounds. You know, it's a good day when you look on Twitter and on the first day of the playoffs, and not even like 5 minutes into the game, Pandemic P is trending.
This is true.
I know, right? No, but Splash, I hope you brought up one person that matters most in this conversation about whether even the Lakers can get out of this first round. It is DeAndre Ayton. They can't stop that.
Yeah, he was awesome today.
I wasn't listening to the beginning of it because I'm actually on a workshop thing, but they can't stop the guy. And AD doesn't have the muscle being hurt. So if they can't stop him, Booker's going to get his. Where are the Lakers going to get points from? Like I saw them play the other night. I actually wanted to put a bet on the Lakers on the Suns today, and I didn't do it. I should have freaking done it. I posted it in the sports betting group though. But Splash, it's over, bro. It's done.
Okay, first off, no, the Lakers are fine. Anthony Davis is going to be better tomorrow, or when they play, Tuesday? Whenever. Okay,
Like
he's going to be better. You know, you have these weird games. I went through LeBron's last 8 years in the playoffs. There's always some of these random feel-out games besides 2017. There's always these random feel-out games that the Cavs / Heat / Lakers lose game one. Everyone's like, oh no, the world is falling. The Rockets beat the Lakers in game one, or the Blazers beat
It's going to come true this time.
Literally, that's how it was. This is how it
Right,
was
it's gonna
last
come
year.
true.
This is how it was last year in the bubble.
It's the law of averages. There's only so many times that the Lakers are going to lose and look crappy the first game and then make it happen with LeBron. This is it. This is the year. It's everything's good. The Knicks, baby. It's the Knicks are in the playoffs. The Hawks are back in the playoffs. It's a new day. Splash.
I can promise you, no one in
Splash,
Atlanta cares about the Hawks.
you're almost done graduating college. You're not in high school anymore, brother. Come on. Things are changing, dude.
I
gonna
can
get married
promise
soon.
you, no one in Atlanta cares about the Hawks.
All right, let me run. Love you guys. Bye.
All right.
Ciao.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, I can promise you, no one in Atlanta cares about the Hawks. They care about the Falcons. And
They care about the
Braves.
Falcons not blowing their leads, and then they care about the Braves, and I don't know who else.
Yeah, correct. So, shout out again, DeAndre Ayton. He had 8 offensive rebounds. First guy since the 2018 playoffs to do that in game one of his series. Both Valanciunas and Tristan Thompson did it in the same game in the 2018 semifinals in the East. So, well-deserved game. Ayton was, again, phenomenal. Anthony Davis, again, he was really poor today. And I didn't expect that. I expect to see some, LeBron kind of feel it out, especially at, 36? He's going to, nibble around the edges a little bit, not necessarily play, full throttle like he can play. But I would like to point out that when I made polls this morning, you can see it right there. I picked the Suns today.
Any particular reason why? You thought the Lakers would get off to a slow start?
Yeah, I thought Phoenix was going to win game one. Remember, this Phoenix team hasn't played in a playoff game since 2010. Keep that in mind, and in the scope of everything, realize that this is one of, if you're a Suns fan, this is probably the happiest you've been in a decade. Just think about that. Think about the emotions in that arena, because it was a home game for Phoenix. And just think about all these.
And you had fans there.
Yeah, you had fans there. And just think about that in a vacuum. And then think about Anthony Davis has the worst playoff game of his life in a vacuum. And the LeBron feeling out process. The Suns are going to win this game. And I didn't anticipate Anthony Davis being this bad, but I thought LeBron played a little bit better than I thought he would. He was a little bit more aggressive than I thought he would be in a game one. But again, like I said, I picked Phoenix to win, and then I had the Lakers winning the title, and I think it's still going to happen. It's a 7-game series for a reason. The best 2 players, in theory, are on the Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron James and Anthony Davis. I trust LeBron to be a top 2 player. Anthony Davis, he should be.
He can be it. He realistically should, although we've seen proof that now sometimes he can't. And I mean, that's just the game. That's just how it works. Not everyone's going to have a perfect game every single time in the playoffs. Even LeBron's, he had a couple stinkers last time out.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just, I think I trust LeBron. I'm pretty sure about Anthony Davis. And we actually really haven't touched on it. Chris Paul is injured. He looked a little off. I don't know if it's a rotator, something shoulder, which, it's just a shoulder, and he played through it. These are the kind of things that 2 days later might not feel too good. And you might see a Chris Paul DNP game too. I love Devin Booker. DeAndre Ayton had a heck of a game today. You're not beating the Lakers without Chris Paul. If Cam Payne is your primary point guard.
What was Chris Paul's contributions today?
What
was his stat line?
He had 7 points. He didn't do a whole lot, but it was more. I think that's more of the Willis Reed 1970 sort of deal, that it doesn't matter how well he plays. It just as long as he does, play, because he is
Sure.
that guy. He is the emotional leader
Just-
of that
just
locker room.
he's has that like kind of like out of game presence, if you know what I mean. Like he
absolutely.
just has such this like aura around him, if you will, like that this like leadership kind of vibe that he gives off, and it's like just his presence alone is enough to push the team to the win. Sure.
Right. And, he only took 8 shots. He was 3 for 8, made a 3, hit 7 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists. He did play 36 minutes, but I think the most important thing about that was the 36 minutes. You got even – they mentioned it on the broadcast that why aren't you covering Chris Paul 3/4 court? He can barely dribble a basketball. Because you see Paul and you see number 3 on the back of his jersey – and you're like, oh, well, that's Chris Paul. He's a Hall of Famer. He's like a top 3-point guard ever. He's just going to dribble around us. But I think the Lakers were a little slow to adjust there and not forcing Chris Paul to do the action because he could make shots. But, he had some like heaves. Like it was all over the place for Paul. And I think if the Lakers had really forced Chris Paul to make the decisions, he's great at making the decisions, of course. But if you're forcing Chris Paul to beat you today, I think the Lakers would have won. Now, if he was fully 100% healthy, oh, yeah, Paul absolutely is a guy that can be the best player in a game and win a game. And, I just want to give a shout out to Phoenix. First playoff win in a decade. DeAndre Ayton went bonkers today. Jay Crowder had 8. Bridges had 10. Ayton again had 21. Paul had 7. Booker had 34. Then on the bench, is it Cameron Jordan? Cameron Jordan had 10. Cam Payne got ejected. He got a double technical foul in a pretty hilarious sequence. You can find it on the app, at the U Stadium app. And then I'll run it down for the Lakers. Davis had 13. LeBron had 18. Drummond had 12. Schroeder had 14. Caldwell Pope had 7. Then off the bench, Harrell had 12. Caruso had 10, hit a couple threes. So I do think a couple things to take away. One, there was a huge free throws disparity to start the game. The Suns didn't take a free throw in the first half. I think it was 19-0, 21-0 in terms of free throws early.
There was also, I'm pretty sure, a big like 3-point shooting disparity too. I remember at one point the Lakers, I think everyone except LeBron was 0 for 10.
Oof. Yeah, LeBron ended up 3 for 7. The Lakers as a whole shot 27%. The Suns shot 32%. I would anticipate both of those inflating a little bit. Phoenix probably isn't going to shoot 83% from the line the rest of the series, although it happens when Booker shoots half of your free throws. And the Lakers shot 61% from the line, which does happen when Andre Drummond and LeBron James account for 10 of your 20 attempts. So all around a rough day at the office for the Lakers, but LeBron's going to bounce back.
LeBron's going to bounce back. Anthony Davis, it was an anomaly.
I'm
telling you right now.
Bounce back.
And this is everything we saw in the bubble last year.
I don't know. I wish you could tell me how many minutes Andre Drummond's going to play, because then I would bet on the opposite. So if Andre Drummond plays 24 minutes, the Lakers will get crapped on. If Andre Drummond gets sent to the moon, the Lakers win in 5. maybe that
is not like Andre Drummond, guys.
But oh my goodness! Again, I said on the app, I tweeted on a WOB post that the Lakers would be better off playing 5-on-4 than playing with Andre Drummond. And as much as I don't like Montrezl Harrell in the playoffs, he fouls a lot. He doesn't play great defense in the playoffs. Look at the Clippers games last year. He could score the basketball. That's fine. But if you're Enes Kanter, there's limited upside there. When you're a hustle guy and you're not hustling and you're not playing good defense, and you're posting horrific defensive numbers and horrific plus minuses, even though you're making your shots. So as much as I don't like Harrell, Andre Drummond is a leech on society. And I lose brain cells when I watch Andre Drummond play basketball.
Sounds like something he's done in the past that has really angered you or something. Seems like you have a huge vendetta against this guy.
Let me see how many games he played with the Cavs. Let's see. Drummond.
Schroeder's trending. Wonder what he did.
All right. Andre Drummond played 25 games for the Cavs. I've never wanted a player to get off the team more in those 25 in any stretch than Andre Drummond in 25 games. And you're going to look at the stats and say, but Splash, he averaged 17.5 and 13.5 rebounds. That's great for losing basketball games. He shot this man, like I said, is 6'10", 6'11", and he was shooting 47%. And it's not even like he takes a bunch of threes. Like he wasn't obvious, like he doesn't hit really many threes. But it wasn't he's taking a bunch of threes. He shot 48% on twos. He's 6'10". What? And he's a guy that is going to get you a lot of offensive rebounds. With the Cavs, he averaged 4 a game. And you're making 48% of your shots. And I'll continue to scroll down. I love Basketball Reference. Shout out to Basketball Reference.
Hockey fans, by the way, Nashville just won game 4 in overtime. They tied the series.
Solid.
I know this is the basketball thing we're talking about here, but I felt like I had to get that out there because I'm like literally running the NHL Twitter while this is happening.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. Okay, field goal percentage by distance. With the Cavs, he shot 40%. All right, he shot under 40% outside of 3 feet. And he only shot 54% of the rim. First career, 64%. You're going to tell me you're 6'10" and you can't finish around the basket. You're going to tell me that you are allegedly good at basketball, but as a big man, you're going to turn the ball over, about 3 times a game. As a big man. I understand you have the ball in your hands a lot, but holy Christ, you are...
Feels like we're just like kind of dragging him along for the ride at this point.
Oh my goodness. Andre Drummond, look, man, I'm sure you're a cool guy. I like your Big Penguin nickname, even though I think that was self-imposed, so self-imposed nicknames are kind of stupid, but get better at basketball, please. For the sake of humanity.
For my sake.
Yeah, for the sake of
everybody else. For the sake of the Lakers fan.
For the sake of my co-host and friend Jack, please don't be hilariously awful at basketball. Ay. Anyways, make sure you follow the U Stadium account on Twitter at U Stadium. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at U Stadium. Make sure you join the app. If you're not on the app, I don't know what you're doing with your life. You can hear me rant about Andre Drummond incessantly, or you can block me. I'm cool with that. I'm absolutely down to be blocked because that means there's some engagement there. So that's cool. Any last words before we wrap it up, Jack?
The Lake Show will survive. That is all I have to say. The Lake Show will survive.
Let's run through some of these comments. Ryan, Suns in 6, no. Suns in 4, no.
No.
Ever since he left the Pistons, it's been a downfall in his career. I agree. He was terrible with the Cavs. You're high. No, I'm pretty tired. I went to the Braves game today. Go Braves. Chop on, boys.
That's why there's the Braves here. Makes sense.
They won 7-1. 3 homers. Austin Riley had 2. Ozzie hit 1. Suns in 4, no. The Faker Nation told me THT is better than Kyle Lowry. I don't speak for Lakers Nation. I'm not a Lakers fan in the slightest.
I don't know who said that. I'd like to know who said that. I think Talen Horton-Tucker is a great player. He shows a ton of potential, but comparing him to somebody like Kyle Lowry, who's already made a huge name for himself, is a little ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, Lowry's an NBA champion. Lowry's still a really doggone good player, even in his advanced age. So, yeah, just I'll put some respect on Kyle Lowry's name. And with that said, I'm ready. In a couple of weeks, when the Lakers win the title, I'm going to come back and say the Lakers did win the title, and Splash was right. So, any last words, Jack, before we end the broadcast?
I'll say it again. The Lake Show will survive.
Yeah,
not worried at all. This happened in the bubble last year. We should not panic after one loss either, regardless.
Now, if they lose game 2, here's my take. If the Lakers if their opponent has gotten 3 wins in a series, I'll be a little bit concerned.
Sure.
As soon as I'll be a little bit concerned. Now, when it's 1-0 Suns, or if it's 2-0 Suns or 2-1 Suns, then it's like, okay, I trust LeBron, I trust Anthony Davis. But until then, until we get to the Suns lead 3-1, I trust LeBron and Anthony Davis. And with that,
we're going to wrap it up here with our little sports desk on a Sunday. We'll be back next Friday, I guess.
Yeah. for sure, we'll be back on Friday. We might do some live content in the meantime.
Between then, maybe more today. Who knows? We'll see. There's
I don't
NHL
know.
playoff games with
Yeah.
elimination.
Yeah, I
At
might
stake,
have to. I probably need to take a nap, but that's okay.
That's fine.
Anyways, folks, thank you for joining us. A little pop in, pop out ordeal. And we will see you very soon, definitely on Friday, and with our Squash the Splash trivia too. So super
Catch the Sports
exciting.
Facts next Friday. Catch
Yes,
Timeout
sir.
every Thursday. All the
Yeah.
usuals.
So absolutely check out the Packers show Wednesday, Niners show Saturday, and the Jets show Play Like a Jet live on Wednesday. With that said, peace out, ladies and gentlemen.